Alright guys, I'm going to tell you some secrets, show you some secrets that you probably never seen before, and then you'll start seeing some correspondences and interesting things about alchemy and all the lore behind it. So let's get started here. I'm just going to show you one aspect of alchemy. probably where the words come from and everything, but so here is a picture that I'm trying to make like the main picture when you click on this. That's why I'm leaving it up for a few seconds here. Now first we're going to start with what is called a cochineal. A cochineal is it's a bug, and oh, I didn't have a thing open for this either. Now this is the bug. It lives in certain places. It's produces carminic acid, which comes from the cochineal. So this isn't really that important, but I just want to cover it real quick. The word cochineal is derived from the French cochineal, derived from Spanish cochinilia, is in turn derived from Latin and from Greek cochinos, scarlet, from Latin equivalent referring to the case of either to the oak berry, actual galls that form in the insect formed by the insects, unrelated to the genus Kermes. Now, I might not have that one open. Make sure. So the word Kermes also refers to the source of the red Mediterranean dye, also called crimson. Alright, so I don't want to get too far into that because this it's going to overlap with some other things I have opened up. So yeah, it's this bug, and it's got a long history. Oh wow, there's better information in some of the stuff than my other links. Alright, so let's move on. So, oh, I just opened that. It's carmine, also called cochineal, when it's extracted from the cochineal insect. Cochineal extract, crimson lake. A lake pigment is a pigment made by precipitating a dye with an inert binder, a mordant, usually a metallic salt. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. Crimson lake or carmine lake is a pigment of bright red color obtained from aluminum complex derived from carminic acid. And is a red that occurs naturally from some scale insects such as the cochineal, the Armenian cochineal, and the Polish cochineal. The insects produce an acid as a deterrent to predators. Aluminum salt, carbonic acid is a coloring agent. So basically, you're making this red dye, and this is all you can go back through this stuff if you want to research deeper, because you run into things that show you other things, and it's just never ending. It can go as deep as you want, and with all this stuff. And I just pulled up some of the key words here because I'm trying to show you something. Alright, so we go from that word. Now we go to now what these are talking about. This is a bug here, right? This ugly looking bugs. Well, that is called a scale insect. Now, scale insect are small insects, Cocomorpha. Yeah, see, they all the names kind of run into each other. And it says right here, pierce plant tissue with their mouth part remaining in one place, feeding on sap. The excess fluid they imbibe is secreted as honeydew, on which sooty mold tends to grow. The insects often have a mutualistic relationship with ants, feed on honeydew, and protect them from predators. See these bugs have this mutualistic relationship with the tree that they're getting the sap from, and with the ants, and it's a big mutualistic relationship thingy. But I'm not going to get into all of that. So these bugs are called Kermes. Kermes, just like Hermes. Hermes trismegiscus, or Kermes trismegiscus, is a genus of gall-like scale insect. Now that's a term that we just went from, scale insect, in the family of Kermesidae, which I think I have a tab open for that somewhere. And they feed on the sac of oaks. The female produces a red dye, also called Kermes. That is the source of natural crimson. The word Kermes is derived from basically Turkish crimson, the color for dye stuffs, and Proto-Iranian worm. It is related to the Persian word for worm. So while they're in a certain, it might look like a bug right here, but when they're in a certain part of their life stage, they're instars or crawlers, like little worms, so that's why they're called worm. Most of their life period, they are a worm, and then they turn into a more buggish thing. And let's see, gnat-like with fragile wings. There's some, this ain't the best link, but there's some interesting things about these. If you get deeper, the more deeper you get into all this stuff, why is this thing in the way? Can I get out of that? Crap. Okay, well, there we go. No, that's the same thing. Huh. Okay. I get a trick for that. Okay. Now, what do we got here? Okay. So, you take these bugs, and there's a special time period of certain females. They carry this red dye in them at a certain time period for certain reasons, blah blah blah. You crush them up and you get the red dye, the crimson. That's where you get Kermes vermilio. Vermilio has to do with vermilion, which is basically it makes the red dye. Oh my god, a train going by. Sorry guys. So you make the red dye from crushing up the bugs, the certain female bugs at a certain time period, and I don't want to get into all the details. That's not what's important. It's how everything links together, and this also has to do with the insects were used for red dye since antiquity by the ancient Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, the Indians, the Greeks, the Romans, and Iranians. The dye also served as a number of ritual and practical purposes in the Hebrew Bible. The Kermes dye is a rich red, a crimson. It has a good color fastness in silk and wool, and esteemed in medieval era for dyeing silks, wool, particularly scarlet cloth. So it makes this red dye, real nice red dye, It's in the Bible. It's got all kinds of historic mentions by all different peoples because they used it as a dye, and they got all kinds of stuff made, stuff about it in history. And Kermes ultimately derives from a Sanskrit word meaning worm made. Now, history, I mean, you can read all this stuff yourself. There's a lot to this, but I'm gonna skip over, because it mentions one thing and it mentions another, and it just branches out, and you can go as deep as you want on your own. And in addition, the scarlet dyed red was thrown as an adjunct into the burning ash of the red heifer, so it has some ritual purposes and Judaism and stuff like that too, and it's mentioned in the Bible, and it's called the grain of scarlet. And the Romans and the Greeks and everybody, Septuagint, it's everywhere basically, scarlet worm. But you can read about all this stuff and all that. So we're going to keep going here. Next is, okay, we did the insect, we're doing the dye, and next was this Kermes vermilio. Oh, this one's real short. This is just to show that Kermes vermilio is a species of the Kermes bug that feeds on a tree, and they have this symbiotic relationship with the tree. I'm not going to get into all that, links for that or nothing, but basically I was showing it was a species are used by humans to make vermilion. Vermilion is a color family and toxic pigment often used between antiquity and 19th century, synonymous with red-orange. Okay, so this is real short. It's crimson. The word and dye crimson is a corruption derived from Kermes, the organism's genus, chiefly referring to its other species. So, it's getting kind of interesting. Well, that's where the word comes from for crimson, and the word that we use, that was used for red for the longest time, is a corruption of Kermes with a K. Not Hermes, but Kermes. So, okay, now we're going to move on. Now these, okay, yeah, here's the fun stuff here. Honeydew is a sugar-rich, sticky liquid that is secreted by aphids, some scale insects, many other true bugs, and other insects that feed on plant sap. I don't know, that they call certain things true bugs. It's kind of strange. Well, what's a false bug then? If there's a true bug, there's got to be a false bug, right? So when the mouth part penetrates the phloem, which is like the skin, phloem is the living tissue in the vascular plants that transport this. Is basically, you bite into their blood vein and you suck their blood of the plant. The sugary, high-pressure liquid is forced out the anus of the insect, allowing them to rapidly produce the large volumes of sap, rapidly process the large volumes of sap required to extract essential nutrients present at low concentrations. So basically, it bites into it, is pressurized, and the pressure pushes it out of its butt, and then it poops out honeydew drops on the leaves. And this is just like honey, basically, or I mean, is sweet as honey. And let's see, I'll skip around here. I don't want to read this whole damn thing. So let's see, where do I... Well, in this honeydew, and that's called honeydew, is a secretion from these bugs. That's the sweet honey that's secreted from the bugs that poop out on the leaves. Now this stuff here, it just molds. It molds super quick. So you gotta catch it right away before it molds, or it'll go bad. And it says honeydew producing insects such as cicadas, I didn't know they produced it also, pierce phloem ducts, access sugar-rich sap. The excess fluid is released by cicadas as honeydew, called cicada rain. I've never heard of that, but yeah, I don't know if I would eat the honey from a cicada. Those are, I don't know, I don't like them bugs. The sap continues to bleed after the insects have moved on, leaving a white sugar crust called manna. Manna. Now you get to talking about the manna of the Jews in the desert, and yes, this is the manna of the Jews of desert when they were in the desert. This is where it comes from. The whole idea. This is what it is, and that's why they have to collect it right away in the morning, because this honeydew, these bugs leave this stuff early in the morning, and if you don't get it right away, it's going to be moldy and bad. It molds and goes bad right away. So you've got to collect it right away and use it, or it'll get moldy and bad. And this is the manna. The manna from heaven is honeydew pooped out by bugs that bite into the plant and they poop out their butt. Honeydew secretion, which is the manna of the Jewish Bible. And I'm telling you, if you look into it, I didn't find the right Wikipedia article, but I'm serious. That's the connection. You could look into it yourself. It's a secretion from the butt of bugs. And there's, this is connected by not just the Jews, but you got Norse mythology. The dew falls from the ash tree Yarghasil, and the prose of the Edda. This is what people call honeydew, and from it bees feed. So bees actually go get this already made honeydew stuff, and they feed on it, and then they make honey from it. And I guess there's a honeydew honey somewhere by certain bees. That'd be interesting. But I was about to skip something here. What is it? Honeydew is harmful, like excreta in general. What is excreta? Oh, poop. Waste. Okay. Like poop in general, honeydew is harmful to the insect, e.g. promoting fungal growth, attracting enemies and clogging surfaces. Many insects coat excreted honeydew droplets with wax secretion by setae and associated glands around the anal opening. Oh wow, so they coat it with honey, or they coat their honey with wax while they poop it out. That's kind of weird, because I've seen that not all these bugs, we'll get to another link, but not all of these bugs poop out the honey stuff. Some of them poop out this wax. It's a wax deal, and I should have a link for that. We'll talk about when I get to that link. But it's more wax than a honey in certain bugs. And it says in Greek mythology, honey drips from the manna ash, which is a tree with which the Malia were usually considered nymphs in this ash tree nymphs nursed the infant god Zeus on the island of Crete. So in Greek mythology, this honeydew stuff, drips from a manna ash, and there's the word manna, like the Jews use in the Bible, and it's called a manna ash, and it is a certain ash tree they call manna ash, and it has these bugs that like to go on there and poop out the honeydew onto the tree, and it drips from the manna ash, with which in Greek mythology these were the nymphs, the ash tree nymphs, nursed the infant god Zeus on the island of Crete. As the hymn of Zeus by Callimachus. I don't think I ever read that one. Either way, this goes so far back, this honeydew secretion by these bugs pooping out this honey stuff, and honeydew is referenced in the last lines of Samuel Coleridge. I don't even know who that is. Coleridge, English poet, Romantic movement. Perhaps because of the mythological connotations. So, scroll down here. It says, and all who heard should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware. His flashing eyes, his floating hair, weave a circle around him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise. It almost seems like he's saying he's going to go a little crazy because he fed on the honeydew, but he also calls it the milk of paradise. Pretty interesting. And let's see. Yeah, date palm tree. The honeydew, blah 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 blah. So it has a little connection to the date palm tree. Cultivar plant that people. Blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah. Seeing this date palm tree, Phoenix dactylifera, also known as a date palm tree. That's where we get the word phoenix. It's a date palm tree. Comes from Phoenix. That's where the phoenix comes from. That is where that word comes from. And so you gotta realize there's a connection with date palm tree and the idea of the phoenix bird. So if you want to look into that area of things, that's a whole different subject. And it says that's a certain type of date from date palm tree, large, sweet, blah blah blah, cultivated, and there's some other nuts. Yep. In Israel, so the honeydew producing insects prefer this one kind of nut, I guess, medjool date. That grows in Israel in the Arava Valley. Okay. Alright, I'm not going to read all this crap. Sugar glider eats both nectar from a branch and other species. Okay, and I don't think I pulled up that link. There is the Kermes oak. There is a Kermes oak. I'll have to pull up that link here in a second. Alright, where are we done here? Forced honey, or list of honeydew sources. Yeah, mostly comes from bug poop. Alright, so we've seen this one, right? This honeydew. Now if we look at, let's go, we'll go to this, you can screw it up. Scaling, so okay. Kermes oak. Uh-oh. Huh. Oh, that's right. That's right. It's got some weird name. That's it right there. Quercus coccifera, commonly known as Kermes oak. And yeah. So yeah, I knew there was an oak named after it. The Kermes oak was historically important as the food plant of Kermes scale insects, from which a red dye called crimson was obtained. So, alright, yeah. I didn't miss that. Let's see. Nothing else interesting here. Alright, so, where were we? Honeydew. Now, so, we know we make secretes the honeydew, the plant sap, they poop it out. It's awesome. Everybody loves it. If you leave it sit for just more, it's the actual manna of the Bible is this honeydew. Now, some scholars argue that no, it's not, but it is. The more you look into it, the more you'll find, yeah, it is. It is for sure. It's pretty obvious. And and scale insects are just deals. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we don't need to look at all that. Okay. Now, okay, so we got the fact that they poop out this honeydew onto the tree, and that's the manna from the Bible. You collect it right away, or it'll get moldy and nasty. So, okay, now where we're going from here is this alchermes. Alkermes, also spelled with a K, Kermes, just like the Kermes that we're seeing with this bug, is carmide. It uses all these words. It's prepared by infusing spirits with sugar, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, vermilia, herbs, blah 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 blah. Its most striking characteristic is its scarlet color, obtained by the addition of Kermes, a small-scale insect of which the drink derives its name. Commercially, blah blah blah. It says several proprietary variants are commonly available where the coloring agent is a coal tar derived dye instead of from the Kermes, from which alchermes, from which it's named. So basically you're getting fake stuff if you buy it. If you buy it, you're getting fake stuff, because this is a panacea. It's a cure-all. It's a remedy, right? But they changed the main chemical that makes it a panacea, or see this, they changed this Wikipedia article and it doesn't say as much anymore, but they used to say what I'm saying now. It was a panacea. It's supposed to be a cure-all, and but they changed the main chemical that was supposed to make it good, and now they just say it's for making pastries, and desserts and custards and creams, and they changed the main ingredient to a coal tar derived dye. And I don't know if you all realize, but coal tar, you can take coal tar and you can make any color in the rainbow. A lot of them ends up toxic, but that's a way of making dyes back in the day. You can make any color in the rainbow from coal tar, from black coal tar. So that's an interesting, going down a whole different road there. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So what this thing shows, see, they shortened this. It used to say more, but this is all longer it is now. It was longer, but they changed it. It didn't say a whole lot more. It basically said it was a panacea cure-all, but they shortened it. It says alkermes. Now look at the spelling here, alkermes, whereas it's correctly spelled with a CH. Alchermes. It's a way to spelling in languages and changing and hiding stuff, you know. So really it's alkermes, which is the same thing we're looking at with Kermes, the name of this insect. And okay, to move on, alchermes was, according to Ephraim Chambers' Cyclopedia 1827, it was a modification of an 8th century remedy. Now there's the key word there, remedy, namely confectio alchermes, in the form of a consistency of a confection. Now confection, I don't know if I can define that for you, but it's basically a sugary dessert, and you would think of it as not as liquid, but thicker than a regular liquid, and sugary. So in the form of consistency of a confection, an electuary, which is thick and pasty. An electuary is a medicine consisting of a powder or other ingredients mixed with something sweet, such as honey, to make it more palatable. So you're like cough syrup, like maybe thicker than that. It was composed of Kermes, aloe extract, and they just threw in every other thing they thought was good. So they thought pearls, ground pearls, musk, ambergris, gold leaf, rose water. But the main thing here is Kermes and a bunch of things they thought was good. And so that's all there is on this. It's really short. And some doctor guy, Dr. Quincy, said it was overrated as a cordial. A cordial is an invigorating and stimulating preparation intended for a medical purpose. But, you know, if they took the main ingredient out, the Kermes, and they traded that in for some coal tar derived dye, red dye, then of course it's not going to be anything but a fancy sweetener. So okay, we got past all that part. That's the part I wanted to explain for this alchermes. It's still interesting. I wish they shortened this. There was more to it before, I believe, because I read it like years ago. So, there's my picture again. And here's a couple of interesting things I ran across. When you're talking about these gall kermes, gall is the knot that grows on like an oak. A gall is like a sore on that grows on it from basically a bug getting in there. And then this one's named Olifella Christicola. Christicola, that's an interesting name, I thought. That's why I kept this aside. Christicola. And then, what we got over here? Caridae. Family scale insect commonly known as the lac insect. And lac scales. And scales are just a type of insect. And this lac is where they produce the insects secrete. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. The insects secrete a waxy resin that is harvested and converted commercially into lac and shellac. Lacquer, maybe lacquer is not the correct term. Actually, it's lac and shellac. Shellac is a resin secreted by female lac bugs, and blah 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 blah. So yeah, shellac. Shellac used in various dyes, cosmetic, food glazings, wood finishes, varnishes, and polishes. So I think ultimately all these varnishes and wood shellac. So it's like a coating for wood and dyes, a dye for wood. And it comes from these damn bugs, or a version of these bugs. See, and here you got Carilaca, species of insects, and Caridea and the Cocodea, blah blah blah. But here's what I was mentioning in the beginning was true lac insects. We got this thing about true bugs. It's kind of strange. I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense what a true bug and what's a false bug. You know, they don't really. It's a weird way of categorizing. But yeah. So that's about it for what I wanted to cover. But now you have learned this weird history that involves Hermes, known as Kermes, and all these different versions of the name Kermes used for these bugs that make this honeydew, which is the manna of the Jews that got when they were in the desert. And then it's a panacea if you make it correctly and don't substitute the main ingredient, called alchermes. And then so Kermes, it almost seems like the name Hermes goes to Kermes and then goes to alkermes. And that might be the true source of where we get the word alchemy. But I don't know. The connections are, sometimes there's multiple things happen at the same time, and it just seems like that might be where it came from. But it's pretty undeniable that all these words just flow into each other, from Hermes to Kermes to alkermes to alchemy, and it's a weird coincidence here. And this is just one side of things, you know. That I know a couple other things that just go down into the rabbit hole just like this. There's rabbit holes everywhere, you know, and there's more than just this. Kermes vermilio used to make vermilion. So okay, I saved that just because it It almost seems like a source of the word vermilion. But, yeah, and Kermes, it's in the Bible. Scarlet was one of the 3 principal pigments used in the temple curtain. And scarlet vestments and some scarlet wools together, blah, blah, blah. And the red heifer. And it was used in adjunct the ritual of leper healing. And in you can read all this stuff yourself, but it just connects, and it goes to, it's heavily talked about or mentioned in the Bible, and then it has to do with the manna that in the desert, and it's a really interesting and thing that goes pretty far. And then you're talking about priestly garments, and then it's decorating the bridal chamber for Jewish weddings. It's just a really interesting story that goes as far as you want to dig, basically. And then and it goes to this cursemic acid. There's something interesting in that direction too. I forget what it was. I don't know if it's worth looking into. Yeah, I've read through all this stuff. You can just keep finding the links and keep going down the rabbit hole, and you can find more and more if you want. And then yeah, so I guess I'm going to end the video. I showed you Kermes, the insect, the little fuzzy insect that has a connection to Hermes and alchemy, alkermes, and the red dye, and the honeydew, and the panacea called alchemies. Alright guys, take it easy.